Imagine you are the most powerful human being on the planet. Your word is absolute law over 70 million people. Wealth beyond imagination sits at your fingertips, and entire armies march at your command. If you wanted someone gone, they vanished. If you wanted a palace built, mountains were moved. You have conquered the known world, but tonight, none of that matters. It is past midnight. You are shivering inside a military tent on the freezing, mud-soaked borders of the Danube River. Outside, the brutal Germanic wars are raging. Inside, by the dim, flickering light of a single oil lamp, you pull out a blank leather journal. You aren't writing a decree to your empire. You aren't writing a letter to your family. You are writing to yourself. You write down a warning. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. This man was Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, and the private journal he wrote next to the battlefields was never meant to be read by another living soul. To understand why Marcus was writing these words, we have to look at the absolute nightmare his life actually was. History remembers him as the ultimate philosopher king, but he never asked to be the emperor. He was a bookish, quiet boy who loved philosophy, thrust into power by adoption. And the Rome he inherited wasn't the glorious, peaceful empire of the movies. It was an empire on the brink of collapse. Almost immediately after taking the throne, a horrific plague, the Antonine Plague, swept through Rome, wiping out up to a third of the population. Bodies were piled in the streets. Then the economy collapsed. Simultaneously, violent uprisings broke out on the northern borders. Marcus spent the majority of his reign not in a luxurious palace in Rome, but living in cold, miserable military outposts, dealing with betrayal, the deaths of 8 of his children, and his own failing health. If anyone had the right to complain, to scream at the universe, or to become a bitter, angry tyrant, it was Marcus Aurelius. But Marcus had a secret weapon. It wasn't his legions, and it wasn't his gold. It was a philosophy created centuries earlier by a shipwrecked merchant named Zeno: Stoicism. Every night while his soldiers slept, Marcus used his journal as a psychological dojo. He wasn't writing a book for publication. He was practicing spiritual therapy. He was talking himself down from anger, managing his anxiety, and reminding himself of his duty. When you read his words today, it feels like listening to someone talking directly to their own reflection in a mirror. He tells himself, do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. He writes, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. He was actively fighting the corrupting nature of absolute power. He used Stoicism to keep himself human when the entire world was trying to turn him into a monster. When Marcus Aurelius died in a military camp in the year 180 AD, he left behind these chaotic handwritten scrolls. He titled them simply Ta Eis Hüten, which translates directly to himself. He likely assumed they would be burned or buried with him. He didn't want the world to see his insecurities, his struggles, or his dark thoughts. But thankfully, someone saved them. Today, we know this accidental book as the Meditations. It has survived for nearly 2,000 years, inspiring everyone from historical figures to ordinary people pulling through their own personal hells. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we cannot control the plagues, the wars, or the betrayals of life. The only thing we can ever truly control is how we choose to respond. You don't need an empire to be a king over your own mind.